Yeah, I don't think this is coming through my headphones at all. Actually, does that sound better and worse?
Fair enough. I mean, if we get any echo or reverb, we'll let you know, but we'll go from there. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along. In about 5 minutes' time, we'll get ourselves settled into the whole show, but we have our guests ready and waiting. I haven't got a cup of tea, but I'm hydrating like a son of a bitch because it's been a long, long day. But we're just kind of getting ourselves nicely settled. The chat room is up and running. So anybody who wants any questions answering of two of the major players for MCM Expo and MCM Comic-Con, please do jump in because I think it's going to be an interesting conversation about the landscape of comic conventions here in the UK, especially with the influence of ReedPOP. So we're going to get into all of that. So any questions, do let us know. I also want to remind everyone, of course, if you want to find out exactly when we go live, do like and subscribe this video. It really does help with our getting out of the word. So please do support the best you can. And, of course, do support on Patreon at Englishman SDCC. Just saying that off the top of the show. The other thing that I wanted to talk about very quickly is a post that I put up on Instagram and Facebook, and I want to explain it. I put a post up saying that an Englishman in San Diego had been fully funded by Comic-Con International, and that we are fully funded for 5 years, and that they think that we're a perfectly decent resource and they want to support us. I also then turned around and said that we will be turning the Hangout into a HD transmission where we'll also be broadcasting in 3D. And then I also said that as part of the arrangement, I would be hosting a number of the panels, including the Marvel one in Hall H. I'd hope at this point someone would have noticed it was a April Fool's joke, but a number of people didn't. I want to say I'm genuinely touched by a lot of the people, a lot of the comments that came through that genuinely thought that the post was real, that we've been supported, that we've been taken seriously as a resource. Listen, that actually really kind of touched me. That kind of made me quite emotional. It was gratifying to see the comments that you put up. Thank you so much indeed for your support. But yes, it was an April Fool. I do apologize. I am going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. One or two people have been asking about that. Myself and Mark are going to be there. We have our press badges in position. We're ready to go. So we are going to be bringing as much coverage as we can from the convention. I know that Dan is going to be supporting or going to be joining us as part of the our press team, but he's going to be doing more of the press rooms, and I think Mark's going to do a number of those as well. I'm going to be covering more the convention itself, so I am going to be trying to get a conversation with David Glanzer. I am going to be trying to get a conversation as well with Andy Smith, who is the director of the new Center for Pop Culture, as it's called at the moment. Do head to an Englishman in San Diego because there's a link there to a great podcast with an interview with Andy Smith talking about the plans for the center as we get closer. A bit disappointing in finding out how long it's going to be until the doors actually open, but very encouraging about what they intend to do with the space, because they seem to be of the intention of opening from very early in the morning and going all the way late at night and filling it with content, with live streaming stuff, with the history of Comic-Con. It looks like a really interesting space. We may be waiting 2 years to see it, but for so far, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So do check those out. And of course, do follow us on an EnglishmanInSanDiego.com for all of that. Right, it's 1 minute to, but you know what? I mean, I'm impatient. Shall we just launch straight into it? I think we should. Okay. The chat room's up and running. We've got Andrew English on there. We've got Andrew Dickinson as well. We've got Leanne D. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. Welcome to Talkin Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana, and this is our weekly show where we talk everything San Diego Comic-Con, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense that surrounds it. Yes, you may notice throughout the course of this show, we have somebody missing. Alyssa Franks is taking a week off, and I've also been sent a picture. At the moment, she's with her mum and having dinner. She's having breakfast in her case. She's having a great time. You know what? I'm bitter and hurt that she's not taking a Sunday out to come and join us like she should do. But we'll take that as read. So, Alyssa, have yourself a great day off for the show today. But we do have some great guests who are joining us, filling Alyssa's shoes. First and foremost, I've got my one of my partners in crime. We've got Mark Searby joining us. Hello, Mark. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Leonard. Thanks for having me back on. It's been a while.
It has been a while. What have you been up to?
This and that, bits and bobs, you know, things I can talk about, things I can't talk about. And this week, well, only today has life calmed down since I woke up on, what was it, Saturday morning last week to find a picture of a certain A-list actor holding my book. And you can imagine how sweary I got at 6 a.m. around the house.
Which book is this, Mark, by any chance?
Who knows? Who knows?
Let me just
move out of the way a little bit. Well, I mean, there's a lovely poster here of it. It's great. It really is. But when it's endorsed by the man himself, it's even better.
Yes. A picture of Al Pacino holding a book written by somebody I know. That freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. But congratulations on that. Well done.
Thank you. Yes, it was all completely bizarre. I just... 6 a.m. going around the house. I won't, because this is a family show, so I won't tell you what I was saying going around the house. But yeah, there was a lot of screaming going on. I had no idea it was going to happen.
Fantastic. Excellent stuff. So, yeah, well, I was going to bring that up a little bit later, give you a bit more of a pimpage, but I'm certain it'll get mentioned at least once or twice before the end of the show. Congratulations.
Yeah, of course, we'll do it again later on. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, let's dive into our two special guests we've got on the show today. We have ourselves, starting with, I want to get his surname right because I know for a fact I'm going to trip over it a couple of times. Danny Aindow?
Aindow.
Aindow.
Better than most.
So close, man, so close. You are the National Event Manager for MCM. Is it now? Here's something I want you to clarify for me. Is it MCM Expo or MCM Comic-Con? Whatever happened to the MCM Expo title? Because that got launched and then seemed to vanish off the face of the earth.
Yeah, just we go with the Comic-Con name more now. They used to be London Expo, going back, and now we've transitioned over to the Comic-Con name. But I mean, we still have MCM Expo Group as the company name, but now we go with Comic-Con for the shows.
You see, this is getting back to the Forbidden Planet International Forbidden Planet snafu. Don't even want to get into that. But no, it's great to have you along. We'll do a full intro in a second, but first I want to also welcome along Travis Hartman joining us. Hello, Travis. How are you?
Hey, hello. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Something tells me from your accent you are not a native of the UK.
Yeah, can you tell? I thought it was, I thought it was really mild. No, I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, home to the two perennial loser sport teams of the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincinnati Reds, which I, for some reason, still refuse to not follow. So still a supporter of them. But been over here for 8 years now. So my wife is British. So I've been living here, living and working here for 8 years. Yeah, 8 years.
Fantastic. Did you come over for MCM or was it for?
No, my wife was my wife's British, so we decided to settle over here. We got married in the States and decided to settle over here, and just kind of through happenstance, stumbled across the opportunity with MCM. And I've been a massive comic book fan, movie fan, just general kind of geek all my life. So it was kind of like, the Lord opened up and shined down upon me and said, here's your spot. So, yeah.
And come to England to celebrate it. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I do also like the fact that you said it was a mutual decision. Congratulations. That was, nicely put. Well, diplomatically placed. Thank you very much indeed for the pair of you for joining us. And I think we'll start with Danny first. I think we'll start with a bit of an introduction in terms of your role with MCM and, just how you basically fell into working for the company.
Well, I mean, I met the previous owner, Brian, years ago. I used to work for View Cinemas, and I ended up at the premiere for Kick-Ass, and Universal Pictures introduced me to him. And then a few years down the line, I ended up working at Universal Pictures. And then I exhibited at the MCM shows for the 3 years I was there. So you went to any of the MCM shows, you'd see the big Universal stand. You'd probably have seen me on there. And then, you know, we were living down in London. My wife wanted to move back up north. I'm from Liverpool. That's where I am live from Liverpool at the moment. So yeah, it was just similar to Travis. The happenstance is just, you know, very fortunate that as I was leaving London, coming back up here, a position happened to open up. And, you know, I knew a lot of the team, but I still interviewed 3 or 4 times for the role. So yeah, they put me through the ringer.
I mean, the actual title itself as well, it's a very big title, National Event Manager. What does that actually entail?
So it basically means that I kind of look after the non-London shows. So, you know, as of last year, it was a lot more. You know, we'll get into that. But so currently I now do 2 Birmingham shows, Manchester and Glasgow. So I have, you know, 4 shows that I look after. And then my colleague Josh does the two London shows.
Fantastic. And yourself, Travis, as now content manager, that seems very much like a catch-all kind of title. But I mean, what areas of MCM does that cover?
So really content, I manage content across all our 6 shows. So both London, also look after the national shows with Danny. So at the moment it is kind of a catch-all. So I work with my main remit is to get cool content, not just for our stages and panels, but also cool content on the show floor, to work with the exhibitors and to make sure that they're getting the most bang for their buck in terms of exhibiting, but they're also that the fans are getting the most bang for their buck when they come into the show. So it's my job to go out and speak with the likes of Amazon and Netflix and Channel 4 and Universal, Warner Home Entertainment, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and get them to bring their intellectual properties to the show. It's also kind of looking at the areas that we have in the show and how to create more of a buzz there, how to make them even better than they already are. So Comic Village, taking a look at that, seeing what we can do to that to bring it more in line with some of the international shows that we see over in the US. Same with our Pop Asia and our creator area. And right now I'm kind of de facto talent manager as well. So it's my role to kind of go out and get the entertainment guests. Although we've got my Dutch brother from another mother coming in soon, a gentleman by the name of, he's going to be taking over as our talent manager. Super nice guy. It's going to be a pleasure to work with him. So yeah, long story short, it is pretty much of a catch-all title right now. I pretty much do a little bit of everything.
I'm just going to say, everything that basically attracts everyone's attention at an MCM show comes under your jurisdiction. No pressure then.
Yeah, not at all, man. Not at all.
Fantastic. Okay, I think where we can start then really is where we are in 2018, and certainly with that the first show, the winter show of 2017, when ReedPOP announced that their collaboration, their buying of MCM and the MCM shows here in the UK. When I spoke to the guys down at London, and we kind of got the first inklings and the first machinations of the deal, it sounded very exciting because there was all this potential with the roller deck and indeed the financial backing that MCM would be getting from ReedPOP. But then we also then saw even a couple of weeks down the line, the first kind of ramifications of that deal with the paring back of the shows. What was the thinking of that, of removing Liverpool and I want to say, what was the other one that was pared down? It was Liverpool and
Belfast.
Yeah. So what was the prime thinking of those? And
it was really about trying to focus our efforts into shows that we can grow and that we can really grow them into much bigger things than they currently are. I mean, the amount of shows we did last year, I mean, I worked on 8 or 9 shows and then went to a couple more myself. You know, using our recent Birmingham show as an example, the amount of effort that went into that show from the entire team, you know, I think it really showed at the show. And I couldn't imagine if we'd have had a show to do the weekend before that, as we did the last couple of years. it was, you know, it's always a huge shame to lose shows. I mean, you know, no one wanted to see Liverpool go more than the event manager who's from Liverpool. But yeah, it's really about, you know, consolidating our efforts and identifying shows that have huge potential to grow, that we can really invest in and really develop. And that's what the decision was, really.
Was it a case of you couldn't see those shows that were cut developing any further? I'm trying to work out, was it a case of the financially there was the need to kind of pare back and focus on the shows that you've got remaining, and you couldn't see Liverpool or any of the other shows, Glasgow, growing any further?
They were successful shows, but I think the shows that we've identified that we have in our portfolio now are the shows with the biggest opportunity to develop. It's less about finding the ones that have the least amount of development and more about identifying the ones that have, and sort of starting at the top rather than starting at the bottom, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Is that a case then of the ones that you are focusing on? Are you aiming on a slightly different model than what MCM had put in place then? Because it does seem that the shows are aiming more towards the North American model, the kind of the bigger, brasher, bolder kind of show.
Well, I mean, when ReedPOP came in, you know, they told us first thing that they bought MCM because of the brand and because of what we do. So, you know, they believed in what we were already doing, and there aren't any plans to change that or to pare that back. What we're just doing really is identifying those areas of the show that we can bring that American influence into and to help develop that way. But we very much want to maintain kind of what we've been doing well all along and not lose that. And, you know, there are things that we can do with ReedPOP that we can bring in and develop. And I think, you know, the talent side of things is a good look at that. The Comic Village, you know, we've got great plans to grow that through the year. So it's more about maintaining and keeping our MCM spirit, but bringing in some of the additional things that it's best practice from the US ReedPOP shows, really.
Fair enough. I mean, I think also as somebody who went to Star Wars Celebration, which ReedPOP organized down at the XL, they used a lot more of the space, including a couple more of the extra halls down the other end. They expanded and they really kind of took over XL. MCM does that at the moment, but not to that degree. Is that where you're aiming to kind of take over XL, as it were?
I mean, Excel I can't really speak to because I don't work on the show. I just go down and roll my sleeves up and help. But I know that I think what we want to do is go through this year's shows that we've booked in. We know what space we have to work with, and really see what we can do to improve it. And then I guess following, you know, next year onwards, we can start to look at, can we grow it physically, space wise? But really it's about taking what we've got booked in through this year and doing everything we can to turn the fan experience up to 11 and, you know, build a better base by which to then develop and take more space and things like that.
Fair enough. I think when I was speaking to a number of attendees, because I went to the winter edition of London Comic-Con, and certainly when it came to, well, it wasn't just the attendees, but also a number of the exhibitors. They really had concerns about where MCM would be developing or changing in its financial model, and whether it would become more expensive to attend, whether it would be more expensive to exhibit. What's the current standing in terms of the prices? Are you intending to kind of keep it as it is and give them the attendees more for their money, or is there any kind of plans to change there?
Well, for Birmingham, what we've done for our shows so far is that we've done sort of a price freeze at first for the first lot of tickets to go out, and then there's been a small price increase on certain ticket types, but they're not across others. So there's been a very, very slight increase on some, but not on others. So we're not coming in and saying 20% extra on tickets. You know, like it's for Birmingham, it was £1 on, you know, a Saturday priority ticket. There's no plans to all of a sudden completely change the model. You know, it's still very much within the price bracket that it is. And, you know, for dealers and exhibitors and stuff, you know, we're really kind of keep to what we've been doing. I mean, when you have price increases year on year, you know, you'll have your standard price increases, but there's been nothing crazy, nothing out of left field.
I think that's the concern that's been certainly in the last 7 days. There have been a number of headlines about price hikes and pricing for certain guests, which have made people's heart go cold and their wallets suddenly get very, very tight. So I think a number of people have been very concerned about that. But it sounds like you are wanting to bring more bang for the buck, as currently is, and like you say, it's only a small increase. In terms of the influence of ReedPOP, then, what do you feel that they are going to be bringing to the shows, not just at London, but across the MCM brand?
I think the thing that's really changed how I do my job is ReedPOP's real passion for the fans. Like, you'll hear people say we're for the fans, we're fans for fans, but when ReedPOP say it, like, they really mean it. And like, I've seen that in my day-to-day, and it's taking the time to get close to the fans, find out what they want, and like that really informs our decision making to quite a big degree. You know, you'll have seen that we've started doing fan focus groups at the shows to get people in and talk to us. We're doing fan meet and greets, which is something that's very popular at the US ReedPOP shows. And it's really that consideration and that care for the people who come to our shows. Like, what do they want? And it's finding out, how do we make the best show for them? And, you know, we're part of that as well, because we're fans ourselves. So, you know, we kind of, it's funny when you'll sit down with a group of people visiting the show and you'll find like so many things in common. It's kind of that side of it. And then also just sharing the best practice. You know, they've had some great experience with the shows they've done out there, and you know, they're very much available to us. We do consult back and forward, and you know, I think Travis probably has worked the most with the US ReedPOP team so far. A few of us went out there early last year to spend a week in their offices, and it's their fan driven approach, and then just sharing their best practice is fundamentally what's going to help really change these shows.
Cool. I mean, something that I know that they've introduced, and they introduced it at Birmingham, which I was really excited about. And I'm going to introduce Travis on this one as well, because I'm certain that he was part of this, which was the talkback panel, the feedback panel, as introduced. And like you say, it's finding out what the fans want and what they actually desire from their MCM show and what they want from their book. What I know, it wasn't incredibly well attended because it was the first one, and I think it kind of threw a number of UK convention attendees to have this ability to talk to the organization of MCM. How did it go, and what kind of came out of it? We'll go to Travis. I don't know if you attended it.
I think unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that one. So I was running back and forth between some guests to kind of get everything kind of locked in for that last day. But it's something that the ReedPOP shows in the US do extremely well. And it was something that we kind of wanted to introduce over here, albeit on a smaller scale for this first initial show. So that's where we kind of put it out there. You know, we didn't announce it. You know, we announced it about, I think, 5-6 days before the show. And it was, you know, sparsely attended, but I think the attendance, the people that did attend got some real value out of it, because they were able to talk to, you know, our current event director, Mary Franklin. They were able to talk to Josh and Danny and just ask questions, and they were there to answer them. And I think that's been, you know, a real and important thing. And I think the thing with ReedPOP and the thing with all of us is that our fans come first. So I get a number of fan requests through. Now, it may take me 72 to 96 hours to get back to them, because I've just got so much stuff coming in, but I will always respond. So if it's you know, I want to see this guest or I want to see that guest, great. And I keep them in an email. So I've got a folder that I've created that I keep all fan requests in. So if I am getting stuck, you know, if I'm trying to put together a Manchester show or a Glasgow show, I can dip back through the hundreds of fan requests that I got and start trying to pick people off. So it is something that I think you're going to see more of that. You'll see probably a bigger Q&A at London, and then Manchester and Glasgow and London October and Birmingham November. It's going to be a bigger focus where it will probably take place on, you know, possibly one of the bigger stages.
I think the thing that kind of really separates the US and the UK shows for myself, as somebody who's seen both, the UK shows are more a passive experience, that the fans don't really get the chance to kind of influence the show. They kind of take the show as presented to them, if you know what I mean. Whereas within the US, because of the ability to kind of talk to the organizers via talkback panels, there is a very much a dialogue between the two. Is that something that you feel is getting changed? That's probably one of the big changes that you can see with
I think it'll probably be
MCM
one
shows.
of the biggest changes. You know, this year, I think you'll see each show will develop that way. There'll be more of an interaction. The fans will have more opportunities to talk back to us. We're going to do more, like Danny was saying earlier, the fan meets. We're going to do more activities throughout the shows, in between shows, to make our presence known across all the communities that we touch at our various points that we do. So Birmingham, London, Manchester, Glasgow, and we're going to let the fans, you know, talk to us and let us know what they want. And we're going to try to provide it. You know, we're going to work our damnedest to make sure that we get everything for them that we can, and that we give them a great experience. Because if we're giving the fans a great experience, and we're giving the exhibitors a great experience, then we're giving the film studios that come to us a great experience, and the publishing companies that come to us a great experience. So it's all good business, and it you know, it makes it work for us.
We definitely want to take that wall down between the people running it and the fans. You know, we want to be reachable. If people want to be able to talk to us, and doing like a very public panel like that is a fantastic way to do it. You know, you can come to our fan meets, you can come to our fan focus groups. You know, we listen when people reach out on social media and when people email us. So yeah, like we very much want to have that line of communication, like directly to the people who are coming to our shows.
Yeah, I was about to mention, I don't know if you've taken new bodies on board in terms of your social media, but whoever manned your Twitter feed, certainly at Birmingham, fair play. They did a cracking job. Absolutely fantastic. Mark, you have a couple of questions.
Yeah, first of all, I've got a couple of questions basically for Travis first, and then I've got one for Danny as well. So Travis, earlier you were talking about you've been involved in booking the talent, and then there's a new talent manager coming in soon. So I wanted to ask you, how difficult is it for you to attract big talent to MCM, you know, from across the pond, basically? Is it tough?
Yes and no. So no, the agents will always talk to us. They talked to us before when we were just MCM, and now that we have the power of ReedPOP behind us, it's even more so. The problem is just the glut of Comic Cons that are currently going on. There's only so many guests that you can get. I think for London May, we've built a really solid lineup, but you're having to. There's a lot of people that I wanted that just couldn't get because they're already booked into Phoenix Comic-Con, or they're booked into MegaCon, or they're booked in. There's two others that I think are going on, the smaller conventions. So it's a limited landscape. And it also becomes too, as we've kind of seen this last week, the US and the UK market are very different in terms of what fans are willing to pay. And so you have to balance getting great guests, but you have to balance that with pricing them right, because you just don't want to gouge the fans, because the UK fans over here, they're just not attuned to those massive US prices at this point in time. Now, I'm not to say that that's not going to be something that we don't look at further down the line, and that market will grow, but I think you have to introduce that market gradually. I don't think you can just go, bam, here's Chris Evans, and oh, guess what? He's 200 pound an autograph. I think you're going to take some flack on that. So I think it's making sure we've got some really cool guests that people want to see, but that also doesn't break the bank, because we don't want people coming in and they drop 200 pound on an autograph for one celebrity, and then they have nothing to spend back on the show floor, because that's not doing justice to our exhibitors. I can't have that conversation with our exhibitors saying, well, I'm taking away money from them. So I've got to balance it out and make sure that it fits everybody.
Do you have like a ultimate wish list of people you would want to bring over? I know obviously you were saying Chris Evans, £200, but if that was feasible if you could bring him over? Is he on that top 10 list?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely, man. I mean, I've got a wish list, like just the people that I want to meet. So let's put them aside, because the first one I'd go after is, this is for me and Danny. I would bring Charlie Hunnam over in a minute. That's it right off the bat. But so there is. I mean, the Marvel actors. I'd love to have, you know, Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan and Tom Holland, you know, Dave Bautista, Chris Hemsworth for certain. Those are guys.
You haven't mentioned the top tier of RDJ yet. I noticed that guy.
Building.
Yeah, well, I don't think, I'm not sure he's doing too many conventions, but hey, I'd love to have RDJ too. If he ever wants to come, if you're listening on RGA, you've got an invite to our show. But yeah, you know, the Justice League, you know, I'd love to have Gal Gadot. I would love to have her, Henry Cavill, you know, getting Jason Momoa over to one of our shows. There's a lot of guys and gals that are on my list. And it's just trying to make the scheduling work. And it's also looking at the various fandoms out there. So what's current, you know, what's current with our audience, what's current across all the different age demographics and the different demographics that we have. And you've got to try to serve all of those various audiences to make sure that there is something for everyone. So it's not forgetting about the anime voice actors or the voice actors, or, you know, trying something new like Twisted Tunes. Twisted Tunes is something that I've been trying to get for the past year. I mean, I've just been working really, really hard. It's finally come to fruition. I think it's going to take the UK by storm. If you've ever seen them, they are fantastic. They're just absolutely hilarious. I love them from the US shows. Look them up on YouTube. There's some great stuff out there, and I think they're just going to kick butt over here in the UK. So I'm happy with that.
Travis arranged like a teaser for the rest of the year at the Birmingham show on the MCM live stage, and it went down really, really well. In fact, Travis and I were stood together watching it, and it was just hilarious. It was really, really good. So I'm super excited about having Twisted Tunes at the shows this year. That's going to be so much fun.
Nice.
I think also, Mark, not just from an entertainment guest point, but for me, I'm a comic book guy. So I grew up on comic books. I learned to read on comic books. I mean, that was my first foray into reading, was Marvel Conan the Barbarian comic books, Roy Thomas and John Buscema. I've got the full run of it. That's my thing, man. It's important for me to get really cool international comic book artists and writers over and really develop that and make it to be that MCM is known for having the best comic book talent and the best comic book talent anywhere in the UK. And that's a mission statement for myself. And that's what I'm looking to do. So watch this space over the next year.
That was going to be my next stop. That was where I was going to head to next, which is...
I read your mind, man. I read your mind.
You absolutely read my mind, which is something which I've spoken to Mary. I've spoken to the guy, Brian. I've spoken to a number of the guys from ReedPOP about this, about what we can do to raise the profile of comics and the comic village at MCM. And it is the thing which I feel has the most potential, because it really is something that I think has felt a little neglected over the last couple of years. That while there have been some great talent there, it's just felt almost kind of like something that's in the corner, supporting the rest of the pop culture content of the show. You're saying that you really are wanting to bring it up, certainly to kind of to an equal platform of the pop culture stuff.
Absolutely, it has to be. That's there are two areas that I've been working on. The first area. So when I joined MCM a couple years back, it wasn't as content manager. It was on the sales and sponsorship side, because that's where all of my corporate experience is for the last 20 some years, is sales and sponsorships. But I slowly kind of went over into the content management just because of the knowledge and the love of pop culture and the comic book genre and stuff that I've got. And my first point of call was to try to introduce literary guests to our shows. So we didn't have a lot of the US shows like WonderCon and San Diego, and all the ReedPOP shows will have some really great genre authors, from science fiction to fantasy to horror to crime and everything in between. And we had none of that. So my first port of call was to reach out to the London-based publishers and start to try to introduce some literary talent to the show. And so we've managed to grow that, and I'm starting to get some really good literary talent coming into the show. We've got a really great lineup for May that we're just getting ready to announce. And then my kind of goal for this year was to do the same thing for our Comic Village. I just feel we've got some great homegrown UK talent that we're not bringing down that I need to go get. And we've got some international guests that people have been clamoring for years. They all want to come over. You know, when you're starting to reach out to them, it's like, wow, yeah, we heard the ReedPOP acquisition. We do ReedPOP shows that we're really looking forward to this. So it's making sure that London's got a really bang on lineup, but not just London. It's Birmingham, it's Manchester, it's Glasgow. It's all
that was going to be my next question. If it's
all
being developed across the brand,
across the board, because I don't feel like, going back to one of the points that Danny made in terms of, and I know that, you know, we took a bit of flack for it on social media, and you know, I know how coming from a town in the States, in Ohio, Cincinnati's a small size city in American terms. We don't have a lot of comic book conventions. You know, the biggest convention that I had the opportunity to go to was what was Wizard World Chicago. You know, that was the biggest one. So you'd have to travel about 4 hours away, or I'd been out to San Diego a couple of times. So we had a comic book convention there for about 2 years, and then it went away because it just wasn't, whatever reason, it wasn't viable. So I absolutely get the fact that fans, you know, would be upset about losing those Comic Cons from their cities. But the problem with running so many shows back to back is that you are literally cutting and pasting every show, because you just don't have time. You don't have time in between shows to really kind of map out what you want to do. Mm. And because of the looking at the sitting back and looking at the business and saying, okay, let's focus on these core 6, we can really make each show have their own individuality. Mm. So that's what my key focus is to do. So yes, we're going to have some great comic book talent in London, but you know what, Manchester, I haven't forgot about you. You're going to have some great comic book talent as well. And guess what, Glasgow, you're going to be really happy because I'm bringing a couple guys that I think you're chomping at the bit to see. And the same thing with Birmingham. I think, you know, David Finch was our first step into Birmingham. Love David Finch's artwork. I'm a massive fan anyway, so I couldn't have thought of a better guy to kick it off with than David Finch, but it's just going to rise from there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Something that the UK convention scene at the moment, we've got a couple of shows that have had to step away, so leaving a big gap for MCM to step into. So, for example, London Super Comic-Con not taking place, at which point, therefore, the Comic Village could really kind of fill that space. Could we be seeing panels from the comic guests?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's what I go to shows for. Back in the States when I was going to shows, that's for me, it was the comic book panels, it was the writing panels, it was the stuff like that really kind of jonesed me up. That's what got me going. The entertainment panels were great with the guests, but I was more, like I said, I'm a comic book guy, so I want to see more panels. You know, I want to see a Marvel based panel, a DC based panel, a Titan based panel, a 2000 AD panel, Valiant, those kind of guys. I want those companies to come take part. So 100% yes. It's going to take a little bit of time. It won't all be done in one show, but I can promise you that by the end of the year, you guys are going to go, wow, they've really made some great strides in what their comic book offering is. And just wait till you see what we're going to do in 2019.
Fantastic.
And again, like,
it's interesting. Oh, sorry, Danny, carry on.
Danny.
Sorry, to say to jump back to Birmingham again. I think it was a really good kind of, you know, base point for how it's going to grow. We had Travis brought in David Finch and Poster Posse, so we had these, you know, two like very popular comic art guests that came over. They did some panels at the show. They did some talk on the live stage. We had we invited a guy over, a fantastic artist called Barry Jazz Finnegan from Dublin, who does photorealistic charcoal drawings. So he did kind of a live drawing over the course of the weekend, and that was kind of like an interactive feature. So like, we've got the guests, we're trying to bring things in like that live drawing to make the area feel alive and feel like a feature area to go and visit. You know, if you're into comics, we've got some fantastic local talent, who are the people who come and exhibit in the area. We have invited guests who have huge followings and haven't come to our shows before. And then also we're starting to bring in feature elements as well, so that it is kind of a one-stop shop for comic fans at the show. And, you know, you'll see those kind of different branches develop throughout the year.
I can imagine as well, it's like Travis said as well, that once you kind of drop the ReedPOP name as well, that there's very much a draw, because they have got such a massive reputation, certainly in the North American shows, of being strong supporters of the comic talent. So I can imagine that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, Travis, you know, you're off next weekend, aren't you, to C2E2?
Yeah. C2E2, yeah, fly out Tuesday, yeah,
to go and, you know, get a bit more firsthand on what they're doing comics wise and bring that back to our shows.
Yeah. I'm not jealous as hell. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. That's fine. Mark, you had a question.
Yeah, another question. One of the things that I really like about MCM London is the fact that there is like a Japanese Asian section in there, which obviously, you know, has been there for many, many years. Please tell me you're not getting rid of that, because it is quite a nice area.
No way. In fact, that's going to go. That's my next port of call after the comic books, is to up our anime and Japanese game. There's just so much to do there. So there's going to be some visits made to some of the conventions, you know, here in the UK and in the US, specialize in anime, and we're just going to up that, because it is a great feature point of the show. And I think for us to get rid of it would just be beyond stupid. So it has its fans. It has a lot of fans. So I think what we need to do with that is just increase it and make it even better than it already is. So yeah,
it's one of the areas that we've heard that feedback from fans, and it's on the docket, and we're working on it.
The anime fans are vocal. You've got to give them that. You've got to give them that. We've got a couple of questions that have come in on the Q&A. Andrew English is watching. He's saying it was nice to see Birmingham back to normal area. He's very encouraged by that. He's also saying that November, the lineup looks very much like the guest lineup as March. Is that more just a case of the page not updated fully, or is there more stuff to be announced when it comes to?
Yeah, there's no guests that have been announced yet for November Birmingham. So okay. I think that's just the page. We'll take a look at that when we get back in on Tuesday after the Easter holiday, and make sure that that's cleared out. So anything he's currently seeing, there's no guests been locked in for Birmingham or announced yet.
Fair enough. And Leanne D, this one's going to be an interesting question. She would love to come over from the US to attend one of these shows. If I can attend only one, which of the shows you would recommend? It doesn't need to be wheelchair friendly. Now, I will say that certainly the XL is incredibly wheelchair accessible, but I'd say all of the venues have been chosen very much for their accessibility. Yeah, which one would we be recommending?
Well, the London event manager isn't here. Yeah, so I think I'm personally really fond of the Manchester show. Yeah. I went to it a number of times before, you know, I got anywhere near working in the industry. So I kind of want to say the Manchester show, it's kind of a fan favorite show over the years. But, you know, having just been to the Birmingham show and seen how much we can do with the space there and everything, you know, I'd say watch the space in November, because November Birmingham should be a really, really good show. Yeah.
Fantastic.
My aim I think Danny's aim and my aim and Josh's aim and all our colleagues' aim is to make sure that we can't answer that question, so that they're all good. So I think that's what we want to get to. I mean, that's, you know, I think each of them, we want them to have their own kind of identity, but we want them to be a point of call where fans come out and go, wow, that was unbelievable. I've got to get back there next year, or I've got to try to get down to London. If I've gone to Manchester, you know what? I need to make the trip down to London in October. That's really what we're striving for.
Excellent stuff. The comments coming in. Very happy that the anime stuff is staying. For me, that has always been what made MCM different. That's come from San Payne. And Andrew English is expanding on his comment. Manchester and Glasgow is too far north for a day trip. It's always been handy to get to the ones that he's been able to attend, which I can kind of understand as a you know, the Southerners that can't make the effort. Fine, whatever. That's cool. Excellent. In terms of what we can expect in terms of expansion and where MCM are going, do you have a kind of roadmap as to a timetable of when we can actually, you know, well, basically about what the expansion and what things can change? You said it's going to be a very slow, or at least a very organic expansion.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a roadmap in place, and how far ahead are you looking?
There is generally, really now. For us, when ReedPOP came in the end of last year, you know, the London and Birmingham shows at the tail end of 2017 were very much kind of done prior to ReedPOP's kind of influence. They were still, they'd been worked on, you know, to that point. Now that we've got this first show, not out the way, but we've got this first show done, and we've started that process of bringing the ReedPOP influence really into the show. Like, you're going to see it at every show you go to now. You're going to see a bigger improvement in the London show, and then following that, Manchester. Every show is going to raise the bar higher and higher and higher. So, like, we have kind of a plan internally, but really, like, the answer is now. You know, we're working on, I say we, the London team and everyone in the office really is working on what they can do to really, you know, turn the dial on this London show. I'm doing the same for Manchester. You know, at the moment, I've pretty much got my first draft of the floor plan ready to go, and it's looking great. And it's really now about looking at what can we do that's different, what can we do that fans want, and what can we do that's gonna make it a better experience for everyone. So when it
came to Birmingham, then as the first one on this new roadmap, what was the kind of first initial? What's been the best feedback that you've gotten from that in terms of what the guests are wanting from MCM?
I think really it's really hard to put into a phrase, but a lot of people said it felt different. And really, like, that's what we're going for, you know, like, we want there to be a vibe. We want it to feel like Comic-Con, you know, like, I know when you arrive in San Diego, the whole city's taken over. Like, we're really trying to turn the dial on the feel for the show. As soon as you arrive, we want you to start feeling like you're going to Comic-Con. And, like, you know, that for me was kind of the thumbs up that what we were doing was right, and it was what fans wanted. Just that it felt better. It felt like an improvement. It felt like an alive show for me.
Cool. I really also enjoyed the live streaming as well. Yes, I was the one that kind of hijacked the Mark Shepherd Twitch for a while. I'd like to apologize for that if anyone is watching. But that was a nice element, and I'm really enjoying, like I say, the things that changing. And like you say, it really did feel like a different show. I didn't expect that to happen almost straight away, but it did, and it was fun.
It took a lot of work.
I can imagine. And certainly, I'm very encouraged by the what Travis is saying about what he's wanting to expand, especially with Comics Village. If you are looking for a comics panelist, by the way, do let us know if you need a panel host.
We'll let you know. We'll have a talk afterwards.
Fantastic. I'd love to kind of throw that into the mix, but there we go. Listen, I think the one thing that I'm certainly getting from all the interaction and speaking to people about MCM, they're very excited and they're jazzed about what they can expect from the shows. I'm loving the fact that it's brand wide, and you're not just focusing on, it's not just the London shows and everything else. Do you know what I mean? It's across the board, and that I'm really jazzed about. So I would just like to say thank you very much indeed for all your efforts. Where's the best place for people to see where MCM are growing and developing? Do you have a blog or a forum that people can kind of interact with?
Not so much yet. I mean, we have our Facebook pages. We have a Facebook page for MCM Comic-Con, and then every show has its own Facebook page. So that's a really good way to engage with us.
Is it very much a case of keeping them very like individual events? It's not just under a one big umbrella. It's almost like here's a separate community per show, as it were.
Yeah, and it's so that, like, people who you just go to that one show, can know where they need to go to ask questions and get updates. But then we do have an overall MCM account as well, which, you know, has more broader information on. But we just wanted to have that, you know, specific show specific page for each show to, you know, host all the information there and people know where to go. You know, Twitter's a great one for interacting with us. On our website, mcmcomiccon.com, you can link into every show there, and we do, you know, regular like web stories on content that we're bringing to the shows and guest announcements and things like that. So we try to keep people informed quite well there. And then also, you know, like, you know, I'm at MCM Danny. Travis is at MCM English Gen. You know, like, by all means, reach out to us, hit us up, ask us a question.
I think if there's any of the creatives that are watching this, certainly in terms of the people relevant to Comics Village, I think that would be great to hit Travis up on stuff like that. And just generally, I think it's great that there is this line of communication open to you guys. I think that's, like I say, I think that making that line of communication between what is a community of fans and the content creators, to break down that wall and to make it a little bit more of a fluid thing, I think that's going to be the biggest change to UK conventions on the UK landscape. And I think I'm totally jazzed for that. I really am.
Community is a big buzzword for us, you know, at the moment. It's so much of what we do is driven by, you know, a desire to build and grow our community. Excellent stuff.
Guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for taking time out.
Thanks for having us.
Almost an hour out of your bank holiday Sunday. What the hell were you thinking? Thank you very much indeed. Once again, just quick reminders then of the Twitter. Where can people find you, Danny?
I mean, we're at MCM Comic-Con, you know, everywhere. MCMComiccon.com, at MCM Comic-Con Facebook, at MCM Comic-Con Twitter, and then I'm at MCM_Danny. Travis, you are?
I'm at MCM_English Gent. And then I've also, you can get me on Instagram at token_yank.
Your sense of irony is just absolutely tickling me. It's just perfect. Guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and
you too, buddy.
We really look forward to seeing where MCM grows in 2018 and beyond. Brilliant.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much indeed. Excellent stuff.
Have a good one. See you
too.
Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you very much indeed. And yeah, I think that's it. They're off. They're gone. There you go. Thank you very much indeed to Danny and to Travis. I'm absolutely jazzed. I mean, what was your take from that, Mark? I mean, I'm excited about it.
Well, you know me. I've written reviews for you about MCM London anyway. Now, I've always been very positive about them. They always do things right anyway. It always feels like, you know, there's no problems getting in, there's no problems getting autographs, there's no problems having photos, you know. It's just basically there are certain bits that it felt like last year they needed to grow a little bit, and clearly from speaking with Travis, that his aim. So, you know, I'm more than excited. I actually think they are one of the best Comic-Con you know, events in the UK, to be honest with you. You know, one of the larger ones. They don't really take anybody for granted, fan-wise.
Yeah, I think if they kind of really jazz up the comics element as well, there's a number of conventions out there that could be very worried because they really could be kind of building on a lot of they're already building on quite a strong foundation on the pop culture side. If they can really adapt that to the Comics Village end, which, like I say, has felt very neglected over the last 5-6 years, it's felt like almost trestle table, a small corner out of the way. If they can really kind of bring that to what they've done with the pop culture side, I think, yeah, it's going to be an exciting thing. We have ourselves a gatecrasher. What the hell? Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I just got back from absolutely stuffing myself at dim sum. Easter brunch dim sum. We ordered double the amount of food we normally order, and it was fabulous, and I loved it. And I offloaded trucks, and I took apart a treadmill, and I'm going to put it back together again. I felt as though I really deserved it. Hell with Comic-Con fit. So there, Aaron. I'm assuming assuming Aaron is watching.
You can
Every
hope.
once in a while, you got to treat yourself.
Yeah. You're also getting a little bit of a sound drop off. You're basically doing a Leonard. So we'll be careful with that. I know that you found a space to join us, and I appreciate that. So yeah, thank you very much indeed. I think we'll go to you first very quickly in terms of what you've been hearing about Hotel Apocalypse. Yes, the hotel sale got announced on Wednesday. All the announcement went out. I mean, what's been the general reaction? Are people ready at this point? Or is Alyssa frozen completely?
She is very still. I will give her that.
She's gone.
Yeah.
She's gone. Okay, we'll message her and we'll see if we can get her back on. Okay, we'll try that again. Basically, guys, if you do want to jump in on the Q&A, if there's anything that you want to talk about when it comes to Hotel Apocalypse, which rooms, hotels are you going to be aiming for? What is your process? I mean, are you going to be gaming the system, or are you going in with other people? What's going on? Andrew Dickinson is turning around and saying hotels has confirmation for 4-day ticket at Comic-Con, but has not received any information on hotel sales, neither the announcement or a link as yet. Should I be worried? Leanne D is saying check your junk mail. I would be recommending that. Karma Savage, however, is saying of my 4 roommates, only 2 of us have received the hotel confirmation link. I'll have to check with my other half to find out if she's received a link. She's got herself a badge, bought and paid for, so I'm very curious to see if she's received hers. It's seeming rather spotty at this point. But then again, is that kind of thing that we're seeing a lot from Comic-Con International this year, Mark?
Strange, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I've got mine, and certainly my other half has got hers, but I've seen a lot of people say that they haven't received theirs, which, yeah, I don't know why that's happening.
Well, we've got until Wednesday, obviously, until the whole thing kicks off. Just a quick reminder about that. As you're no doubt aware, this is the general hotel sale administrated by OnPeak. So it is a slightly different setup than we do with the badges. It goes live on Wednesday, which is the 4th, he says. It's going to take place as of 8 p.m. Pacific, with the site turning into a randomized waiting room. You've got an hour for them to enter, very much like the badge sale, at which point at 9 a.m. Pacific, you're going to be then mixed up and randomly selected to be let through to fill out the form. Unlike the badge sale, where it's kind of in groups of such and such, by the sounds of things, it is very much a case of in a linear line order. The thing about the hotel sales, however, it is very much a case of filling out the form almost as quickly as you possibly can. You do have a section. Oh, Alyssa's jumping in on that one. Go on then, Alyssa.
How is my audio better?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Last year, what we proved, what Mark, not Mark Searby, but Mark Comic-Con dad proved through the statistical analysis that he was able to do from the when people were let in, is that it is dependent upon how soon you get into the form, not how long it takes you to fill the form out. Okay. So if you have a couple of people, say you're working in a team of 3, because we all do work in teams, and all 3 of you, one person gets in, and then that person should fill out the form. The other 2 people should not fill out the form with similar information. So you got John Smith gets in. He should not fill out the form for Rob Lowe, for example. He should not fill out the form for, let me back up. John Smith fills out the form for him and his 2 roommates. Those 2 roommates, Rob Lowe and Leonard, should not fill out the form and using those names. Basically, you don't want to have double information. You don't want to have the same phone number. You don't want to have the same email address. You want to make sure that your information is entirely separate.
There was that last year with a number of people with duplicates, and so
they got
on peak getting very
picky. But
picky.
the basic thing is that the first person that gets in is probably the one that's going to get the room. I also, just for sake of argument, would put in that you want to have 3 people in the room. Don't put in 2 people because you're liable to get a king size bed. Even if you indicate that you want 2 beds, they may very well give you just 1 king size bed. That happened to me last year personally, and that was pretty annoying. So that would be the biggest thing. I don't have any communication, Leonard, other than so if you're typing out something for me, I don't know what you're saying.
No, I'm something else entirely. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The unofficial blog came back with their first of their live shows. So don't forget, if you are a unofficial blog subscriber to their YouTube channel, that bunch of part-timers doing their little section leading up to Sunday. Not people who do a weekly show every week. Just that little run up towards. Okay, that was all right. Do sign up to their show, of course, because they're going to be. I think they're starting up their shows again in about a week, 2 weeks time. But they did a interesting poll about the hotels that are being kind of like the most wanted. Now, obviously, the big ones, the Hilton San Diego Bayfront, the San Diego Marriott Marquis and Marina, Omni San Diego, and Hard Rock Hotel, all the ones that got the highest. They're pretty obvious choices. 4 closest hotels to the convention center, meaning the shortest walk, of course. The next few hotels, though, show a significant decrease in people's preference. Manchester Grand Hyatt clocks in with 31 votes, which was a drop from last year. Hilton San Diego Gaslamp down to 21 votes, and then it drops down to the Embassy Suites San Diego. I think that was an interesting poll, if anything, because it seems that people are now just wanting to get they're just wanting a bed. I think they've had enough stresses and enough hassles over the course of previous years that they just now want a bed. Does that make sense?
I would like to see a poll. If you take those top ones out, let's say you take the top 6 out, I would like to see a poll of how that then how people vote for them, because I think you're going to see a much more straight line across everything. I think there's going to be people voting for all of the same, basically, because once you take those big ones out, you're left with a huge lot in downtown. And I think people are just going to go, well, I'll just go everywhere. It doesn't particularly matter to me, really. So yes, I would be interested to see those results.
I think it was also this has kind of been developed as well as people are recognizing the usefulness of the free shuttle service. The fact that it is a case of now that you can get yourself to a hotel, and you don't have to be too close. I don't know.
Well, you don't just need the shuttle. You can have a cab, you can have an Uber, you can use the tram. There's all of these different options. You can walk it as well. I mean, we walk it every year. I've never got the shuttle, never got the tram. So yeah, there's loads of options. I think people are now realizing that actually being right in the heart of it possibly means that you won't get to sleep.
True. Go on, Alyssa.
That's funny. You've got a good point there, Mark. I'm just thinking back to trying to find the link so that people can take a look at the statistical analysis that we did about the breakdown with regards to filling out the form, and also selecting some of the options, which were along the lines of put me in a hotel that's closest regardless of whether or not it's on the shuttle route, because those kinds of drilling down into that form get to be really, really tricky. I will say, though, that if you tend to party, just to get back to Mark's point, if you tend to party a lot, being downtown is really nice. You don't have to stumble very far late at night. So there is that. And Mark.
Is that experience, Alyssa? Is that from experience?
Yes, that was by experience. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is an article that I am trying to find, which the Geekery have done. In fact, there's a couple as well. The Geekery have done one, and I think there was another blog post as well out there, which was doing the pros and cons of staying at Mission Valley. It was interesting as well at the bottom of the polls that the unofficial blog did about the hotels that Mission Valley are available, and it was interesting that these aren't numbers that are just in the single digits. There are a number of people are taking Mission Valley very much as a viable option. So I mean, we got Sheraton in there, and Coronado Island, Town and Country, of course, and a number of these hotels. People are recognizing that even if it is further afield, you are not completely out of the loop, as it were.
Mm-hmm. The first year I went, I stayed in Little Italy, and it was great. You know, it was still in a vibrant hub. Little Italy is very vibrant, but it was out of the way of all of the craziness. And it was a, I don't know, half an hour walk down to the convention center. It was really nice.
Cool. Any comments on the Q&A? Do let us know if there's any questions that you have. We'll try our best to answer them. Obviously, there's a number of articles out there. I think probably the best one is the resource from the Friends of Comic-Con forum. We are trying to... I know that there's a little bit of maintenance going on with the Friends of Comic-Con forum at the moment, but I'm certain... Oh.
No, there shouldn't be. We've recently moved to a more secure server, so it's you have to make sure that there's an S after HTTPS. Sometimes you may have to add that S or readjust your bookmarks.
Fair enough. The other thing as well is I know that a number of people on the chat at the moment are joining a hashtag Team Hilton, which Andy Bayback is starting. As you may be aware, what we're going to do is basically kneecap Andy Bayback, leave him in a corner of San Diego and nick his room. So if anyone's up for that, by all means. And you know, we love you, Andy. You know that. Let's have a look. So yeah, do jump in on the Q&A. We'll see as we go through the rest. Do let us know if there's anything that you want us to talk about, because we do want to just quickly dive into a couple more of the bits and pieces of the week's news. We've got ourselves word that a number of artists are starting to get their confirmations of invites, not necessarily just the special guest artists, but also people in the Artist Alley as well. Edgar Delgado is one example. He got his notification through, and he's booked his hotel already. So he's going. A number of artists are starting to get their confirmation of invites. So Comic-Con are definitely on track to start to pick things up. I mean, I think one of the first things that Kerry and the gang said on the unofficial blog on their show this week, it suddenly feels like it's Comic-Con season, and it's just started. We're off to the races. So much so that we are also getting news of a couple of comic book debuts announced, and Antarctic Press are bringing a debut book to the show, as are Chris Redder and Tad Galusha's bringing a very exciting book by the looks of things, First Americans, which is going to be debuting at Comic-Con. So a number of the exhibitors are starting to get into place for their Comic-Con experience. We're even getting our first Comic-Con exclusives, which just kind of we're there already. We're into it, man. The two companies which I've seen for Comic-Con exclusives, I haven't posted anything from Cryptozoic yet. I know that the unofficial blog have done theirs. However, I haven't had any official word from Cryptozoic. I haven't seen any official photos yet. So there's the Cryptozoic They are the DC Bombshells figures, which they're going to be bringing. They also brought them to WonderCon last week. Sorry, Emerald City Comic-Con, I do apologize. So there was a number of items from that. But we also saw a couple of Hallmark items as well, which I might try and pull up on screen so at least you can see them. Those I can confirm because those have come directly from the official page. What other news have you guys seen? Alyssa, is there anything that's really jumped out at you in terms of this week's announcements?
To be honest with you, I have been offline pretty much most of the week dealing with everything. So I do not know. I plan on getting back into that this coming week. Really looking forward to Silicon Valley Comic-Con, which is next weekend. Heard excellent reports back from WonderCon. People had an absolute blast. So that's kind of where I'm heavy into the spring cons. So
excellent. The other, well, let me just very quickly as well then just bring these up then. These are the items that have been announced as the exclusives from Hallmark or under their pop-minded branding. Oh, hello. Whatever that's all about. Sorry about that. These are 2-pack pins, which are available. Hello, a second. What happened there? I do apologize. So these are the Pixelate 2-packs, which you can pick up. This is a Aquaman and Mira one, which is being done by DC Comics. But there's also this one, which is I quite like a lot. This is the Ant-Man and the Wasp one, which is available. But I think this is the one that is going to get everyone's attention. It is a Bush and Han Carbonite from Return of the Jedi, which just looks really, really pretty. I think they're just really nice little badges, and I can imagine they're not going to be too expensive as well. The badges last year, I think they clocked in at something like $18. So that's what they're releasing. As soon as I get any details over the Cryptozoic items, they will be posted up on an Englishman in San Diego.com. I know that Dan has gotten a couple of photos, but I want to try and get some nice clean ones directly from Cryptozoic. So as soon as we get those will go up on the site.
Was Cryptozoic, were they the same people that did the HAL pin and the Jetson pin?
Absolutely.
Those were very good. I wish I had gotten 2 of the HAL pins. I have to say, good quality, nicely done, not a long wait. Absolutely would recommend their booth on preview night if you happen to have preview night or sometime when the floor is full. And they just ran through things that were really well run. It was a good booth. I did just tweet out last year's hotel analysis article. Well worth the read, seriously. And I believe that a lot of the suggestions CCI has taken, took a read of it, has taken those into account. And I, for one, think that things are going to run a lot better this year than they did last year, than they did the year before. So I'm fingers crossed for On Peak doing it well. I know I just jinxed it, but what can I say?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are also talking about the way that Comic-Con are organizing themselves this year, and they are wondering whether we are going to be seeing more lottery elements as introduced at WonderCon. That's
I heard. Yeah, I heard two feelings from that. One of our readers, one of our authors, said that she thought we were going to be. That's the scuttlebutt that she heard. And then I heard from other people who said no. It's just a trial run. We're going to see how it goes. There were certainly some problems, and it revolved around standby lines. The lines for. If you didn't pick up a badge, if you didn't pick up a wristband, what happened to those wristbands? Are you going to end up giving them out? And if you end up giving them out, how do you go about giving them out fairly? And those create lines for the standby wristbands. So what you've effectively done is taken the top 80 people, if there's 100 wristbands, taking the top 80 people, handed those out via the lottery, and then you've got a line for the last 20, which brings people's competitiveness out. How shall we say? There's a, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what's been your take on this, Mark? I mean, I can imagine you've had a couple of conversations about any kind of lottery expectations. Could this be happening? I mean, I suspect that they may introduce it to something like autographs and a couple of exclusives, but people have been talking about Ballroom 20, Hall H. I personally just don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening for the rooms at all, I've got to say. But for autographs, I'd be all for that, actually. I am an autograph hunter. I will say that. You know, that is my thing. It's not photographs. It's not anything else. And obviously panels. I mainly go for the panels. But if there is even a small nugget of a chance of me getting an autograph with, you know, whoever it is, you know, DC or Marvel or somebody else like that, then I'm going to put my name in the ring. I just don't want to be queuing 24 hours to go there, put my hand in a bucket, and then be told, no, sorry, you didn't win. Instead, you get a fish. So, you know, I would much rather do the online lottery and be told beforehand, right, you need to line up at 7 a.m. or whatever it is, because you've actually won. I much prefer that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the split has been between people who got the choice that they wanted, saying, no, this is a perfectly decent system. It works nicely. I like this. And then the people who didn't get what they wanted saying, no, I'm not too sure about this. I don't think it quite works.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that you tend to get people who come into the system. They enter everything. And so, I mean, there were 20 people, and I come back to the 20 people again, who won Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at WonderCon, signing for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they didn't show up. You know, so you've got people who are kind of like, meh, well, maybe I'll enter, you know, we'll see. Or there was another person, and I hate to single people out on the forum because that's not what I'm about, but somebody who enters a comic book, like Jim Lee, for example, and wins a signing with Jim Lee and doesn't know who Jim Lee is. You know.
Okay, so, maybe you should name and shame on something like that.
You know,
what?
Yes, but you know, people come to conventions with different motivations, and that's what I'm saying. And you know, when it becomes easy to enter all of the lotteries, everybody enters all of the lotteries. One of the suggestions that Transmute Young suggested was maybe a $5 fee to enter a lottery, and have that go for to increase line security, or have that go as a donation to Heroes Initiative, which personally I think would be fabulous. Or, you know, have it go towards, you know, all of those $5 fees to enter the lottery would go toward directly helping the artists of that particular thing. So maybe you have retired actors, I don't know, something, you know.
Retired artists.
Yeah, retired. I mean,
I think I'm starting to get a little bit sick of seeing all these struggling artists that have created some of the most seminal comics, and having to go to crowdfunding to allow them to support themselves, which is kind of annoying the hell out of me at the moment.
And that's why I'm saying the Heroes Initiative. I mean, if that $5, if I were to enter into, you know, 5 lotteries at $25, and that $25 went as a donation to Heroes Initiative, I'd do it. You know, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a worthwhile, nonprofit, good organization for CCI to partner with.
Fair enough. Very quickly on the chat box, Dan Berry is pointing out that it wasn't. You mentioned, was that HAL 9000 pins, Alyssa?
I thought it was.
No, that's Mobius Models. No, but Cryptozoic did do a number of pins. They did a number of so also signing cards as well. No, they did a couple of pins last year. It wasn't the HAL 9000 ones though. So there we go. Sarita P is basically saying, but that would be paying for autographs. In terms of the comment that you've just put, Alyssa, which I can understand. I personally don't see that they would ever charge, because in CCI's mind, that is a removal of the democratic process. But instead, they are putting a democratic process in there anyway. It just happens to be free.
No, and that's a valid point. And I think this is a very good moral question. I don't think there is a right and a wrong for this one.
No.
You know, so it will be interesting to see how this develops. But I think that a little bit further thought needs to go into it. And I'm sure that given the fandoms and the comic convention attendees, that there will be no shortage of suggestions.
Of course. You're absolutely right. Okay, we're kind of cracking on. So let's get into our final 10 minutes of the show. Let's just very quickly go over a number of the news, other news items that have been announced this week. Brian Dragos, who's has been a good friend to the an Englishman in San Diego Twitter, he's turned around and contacted the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. They have confirmed in a reply that Thursday evening welcome party for this year's Comic-Con will be going ahead, and they are looking forward. It is going to be once again on the Thursday night of the convention. So that's something, if you are a true comics book fan, they absolutely pull some top flight names for that. So do keep your eye on that Twitter account. We also have, let me just try and find the other items that have been announced. Blizzard Entertainment have announced that they are going to be bringing the Overwatch Payload Tour. So we're going to be having that as an offsite, and that is going to be... let's have a look. Every participant will receive an exclusive Overwatch pin. Each event will have its own unique pin, so make sure to visit during the Payload Tour. It's going to be attending also at PAX East. This is part of the announcement that they put, but down at the bottom of the page, they did state that if you can't make it out to PAX East, Overwatch Payload Tour will be making other stops, including San Diego Comic-Con in July. So if you're an Overwatch fan, there's that. And I think probably the biggest news when it comes to offsite came from Gaming Shogun. Try that again. GamingShogun.com. This is regarding Petco Park. What they appear to be doing is taking the notion of what they've done in the parking lot structure in the past and absolutely raising it up. This is via a company whose name escapes me. Let me have to open up the post. There you go. Grand Design is the name of the company, and they've announced an experience at Comic-Con, which is going to be enclosed with a stage. They're going to have tenting. They're going to have lots of gaming areas. It's going to be quite an experience. Let me see if I can just pull this up on the screen share. This looks exciting. I mean, do you know what? It's the one area I've never actually been at Comic-Con. I've never actually been to Petco Park. I've never had the chance to get to the parking area. So I kind of missed it. But Grand Design is one of the fastest growing out-of-home media solution companies in the country, specializing in over-the-top outdoor campaigns and unique brand engagement. And as you can see there from the picture, they really are going to go all out. I'm curious to see if this here in the top left-hand corner, if that's going to be Comic-Con HQ. Myself and Mark's favorite company. Yeah, I'm curious to see if they're going to be actually representing. But yeah, it's going to be a full-blown stage experience. And also, the other thing that I'm curious about as well is these floodlights, which are looking to kind of really illuminate that entire area beyond just the daytime experience which we have seen in the past. We could be seeing some evening activations in that area, which I'm interested in. So there we go. It's going to be called The Experience at Comic-Con. And yeah, let's quickly go through the quote. San Diego Comic-Con is the convention of all conventions, virtually impossible to get a ticket to, like many sporting event championship games. Spoken like a true outsider. After spending the past 7 years working with Comic-Con and Petco Park, we approached them with an idea to turn this interactive zone into a grand fan experience so the everyday fan can experience and participate in this iconic gathering. In other words, do you remember how was it Entertainment Weekly tried to do a thing upon the section at the back of the convention center, but it was too far to walk, so no one went? Here you go. It's nice and close, and it's at Petco, so it's just over the road. So what do we think of that?
Well, the proof is in the pudding. We wait till it actually all kicks off, and if it works.
Fair enough.
I mean, I can draw something nice. It's no problem, and it looks great.
Absolutely. I was thinking, I wish they had the same laws that New Orleans has with the open carry of alcohol, not other things, and they would set up booths for evening activities where you could purchase a few drinks and go around and do all the things. I think that would be absolutely that would be fun. I'd love it. However,
the only concern I have about this whole thing is if they are going to do a late night setup of activations there, anyone who's camping out at Hall H across the way, they're going to get no sleep at all. It's difficult to get sleep at the best of time, but when you have that going off as well, okay, fair enough.
But I'm not going to do Hall H this year, so I don't care.
Hall H either. La 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 la. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Okay, so there we go. Plenty of stuff to keep us busy. As always, when we get more details, we'll share with you on the show. And of course, do follow an Englishman in San Diego.com and friends of CCI.com as well for all the latest updates as they are announced. Right, we weren't expecting Alyssa to be here, so she's not going to do this bit. Let's go to Mark Searby for Week in TV.
Yay! The Week in TV. And because I'm doing it, do you know what goes first, Leonard?
Go on, tell us.
The UK.
Yay!
Yay! So, if you're in the UK, Silicon Valley returns on Thursday night on Sky Atlantic, the best comedy show on TV at the moment. Fantastic. Also on Friday evening, BBC 2, 9 p.m, The City and the City, starring David Morrissey, about China Millville's mind-bending novel. So that's on as well. It looks kind of interesting, 4 parts. I imagine that will be in the US at some point. Onto the US. Yeah, some things are on. Great. No, not really. I'm joking. Alyssa has sent me a lot of things. I've narrowed it down. Counterpart finishes its first season tonight on Stars. Don't worry, it has been renewed for a second season, so that's all good. The Magicians finishes Wednesday night on Sci-Fi. A 4th season has been greenlit as well. Strike Back finishes season 5 on Friday on Cinemax, and season 6 has been confirmed as well. This is one for you, Leonard. Legion returns Tuesday on FX. I think a lot of people are excited by that. 10 episodes this season. 10 episodes, whereas we had 8 last time. If we're in the UK, we've got to wait until the 17th of April for that.
If you think I'm waiting 2 weeks for Legion, you've got a big thing coming. Okay? There's going to be some illegal downloading, and I admit it. It's going to happen. I'm not even going to hide my light under a bushel on this one. If you think I'm waiting 2 weeks for Legion, sod off. It ain't happening.
I don't know what you said there. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, exactly. I just would put a plug in for The Magicians. They've been, it's a great series, and it's one of the few shows that I'm able to keep up with. And it's very interesting that the characters really grow and change. They're not just, the same all the time. But Mark has one more thing left.
Yeah. Alyssa did put baseball and basketball, but I threw that out because that's not.
Totally.
No, don't need that. One other thing is on Friday night on HBO, an original movie called Paterno is about the winningest coach in college football history who becomes embroiled in Penn State's sex abuse scandal. So this is HBO Friday night. Stars Riley Keough, Elvis Presley's granddaughter. I really like her. She's great. Greg Grunberg, who's obviously a big friend of nerds everywhere, and some young actor called Al Pacino. So probably not interested. That's probably his only role, to be honest. Can't imagine he'll go anywhere.
Fair enough. Al Pacino, I'm aware of his work. Is there a book that we can find any of his, say, a snapshot of his movies?
There could well be. Yes, I think there is. Funnily enough, you should mention that. I did notice, and clank name drop, Leonard Maltin and his daughter holding one of those books that you're mentioning there, Leonard, and giving it to Al Pacino himself last week. I think the book was called Al Pacino, The Movies Behind the Man.
Yes. I actually I found that very interesting because Al Pacino desperately looked like he needed to use the toilet, and he was just very grateful that there was some paper that he could use. No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
That's mean.
That's mean. I'm sorry.
Thanks to Mark. We like Mark.
We do. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for that. I think, like I say, the one I'm really excited about is Legion. But I'm also really getting jazzed by the social media for Westworld, purely because they've been bringing out some fantastic social media stuff, including the piano roll music that they've been doing, including Heart Shaped Box from Nirvana, which just was an incredible piece of work that's currently sat on my Spotify list at the moment. But no, really jazzed about Westworld coming out. So obviously some really exciting television on the way. Thank you very much indeed for that. Mark and Alyssa.
Mark did it all this week. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. I tell you, when I opened up my truck yesterday and realized that I was offloading a 15-foot truck all by myself with a little bit of help from my dad, I was pretty bummed out about life. Moving on, next week, I will be at Silicon Valley Com, so we will get a live report.
Yes, we will. We may be getting two. Because we may need someone to help us out on this show, because not only is Alyssa going to be taking part in that, I am going to be taking part in MCon. One of their first shows of 2018. They're going to be doing a show at Worcestershire, which I'm excited about. It's kind of like a last minute thing. What they have done in the past, they have done panels at their Nottingham show, which I will be doing again this year, which is fun. But they got themselves a number of guests which they could justify putting panels on for just the Sunday down at Worcestershire. So I'm going to be hosting 3 panels. One at the beginning is going to be with the Red Dwarf guys, Robert Llewellyn. I've never actually spoken to him as a panel, so that should be fun. Danny John Jules, Norman Lovett, so that should be fun. The Red Dwarf bunch. As always, wind them up, watch them go. So that's always giggle. The final panel of the day is going to be the guy from, I really don't want to be forgetting his name when I'm introducing him, from Doctor Who and from Legends of Tomorrow, Arthur Darvill is going to be the third panelist of the day. But the one I'm really excited about is a guy I've never met, and quite frankly, I could spend all day talking to him. John Rhys Davis. From Lord of the Rings, from Indiana Jones, from Sliders. Hey, sorry, I'm really showing my geek card there. We could spend. I've been told I've got to be very careful because he could just answer a question and keep going for half an hour. So I've got to really watch myself. But I'm up for that. So I'll be bringing a little bit of a live report from MCon Worcestershire. That's next week.
And that is no April Fool's joke.
Correct. Oh, yes. I want to very quickly apologize for my... Yeah, I did it at the beginning of the show. I'll do it again now if you missed it. Yes, the post about an Englishman in San Diego being fully funded by Comic-Con International because they think so highly of us That was an April Fool joke. Sorry about that. No, we have not been fully funded. And I will not be doing, we will not be bringing the show in high def and 3D. So we will not be seeing Mark Searby in 3D. And we also won't be seeing me in Hall H hosting the Marvel panel. As I thought that would be the thing that would give it away. I didn't know where people, I don't know where I lost people. I'm not sure, but there we go. Yeah.
Well, you even got me. You even got me, I have to say. But I have a perfect excuse that I was like, so I'm so totally out of it. I don't
Fair
know.
enough.
So
This very quickly, this is something that I don't actually cover. So, Alyssa, you may have to quickly jump in on this one and help us out. Sarita P is reminding us Ace Parking is tomorrow, April the 2nd. We're going to be opening those up. Do you want to quickly cover those?
How that works is you've got, I believe you have 3 weeks to submit your entries. It needs to be from, all entries need to be from different email addresses. That was a hint. Sorry, you know, I mean, it's an open secret with regards to that, but they don't even say 1 entry per person, but no duplicate entries from the same email address. At the end of that time point, they will be announcing group 1, group 2, group 3. If I remember correctly, last year, and I didn't review these facts. Pretty much, if you're in group 1, you get underground parking. Group 2, you may get underground parking if you are early, but you should be able to get Hilton Bayfront parking. And so forth and so on. So usually you want to be group 1 or 2, and you do have 3 weeks, so there is no rush on this one. We'll go over this again.
Yeah, we will in the next couple of weeks. But the other thing as well, I'll remember as well from last year, group 1 emails did start going out relatively quickly. And then there was one hell of a gap between group 2 and group 3. People got very concerned, very worried, which I can understand. So don't be too concerned. But yeah, that's all opening up tomorrow. That's Ace Parking, April 2nd.
I think that was just thank you for keying in on that memory, but I'm pretty sure that was a problem because of Ace Parking email servers and not necessarily by design. Okay. So in theory, they'll get them rolling all out at the same time. I don't know. I think they even sent out rejections. So, you know, you should hear something one way or the other with regards to that.
Fair enough.
I am going for underground parking this year too, simply because I like a place to stash all of my goodies.
Understandable. Fair enough. I will be going for underground parking because I'd like somewhere to sleep. I will take a carry bag downstairs.
No overnight parking.
Okay. I'm just going to find a quiet corner to, whatever. Right. Thank you very much indeed for that, Sarita. And like I say, we'll keep an eye on that over the course of the next couple of weeks. So quickly to wrap up and say thank you very much indeed to our guests this week, Danny and Travis from MCM. Thank you so much indeed for coming on. I hope that it wasn't too much of a kiss-ass session. I think there were 1 or 2 things that we wanted to bring up, and we got some good answers, especially when it comes to the development of Comic Village and where they're going to be doing things as they go through 2018 and beyond. Thank you very much indeed to Danny and Travis. Mark, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and I hope it's not too long next time. Hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Yeah, we'll try not to keep it that long. Hey, yeah, but it's fine. Yeah, but no, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast.
Excellent stuff.
Actually, what I wanted to, the idea occurred to me is that since both Leonard and I are talking about doing live reports, do we want to just go ahead and see if Mark is available for next week?
Are you available next week, Mark?
Sorry, my headphones are dropping out. I really can't hear you guys. I really can't hear you.
Okay, people can find me at my Twitter feed. Well, we give Mark a chance to think on this, since we didn't want to just drop this in on him unexpected. But that was what I did. My Twitter feed you can find me is at Friends of CCI. And you can always find me on my website at friendsofcc.com, both blog and forum.
And where can people find you, Mark?
Twitter, Mark_Searby, website, marksearby.com. Obviously, the book is available on all ebook providers and physical copy on eBay. And if you are in the London area, I'm putting on a screening later this month, Thursday, the 19th of April, at the Phoenix Cinema, of the comedy film And Justice for All. Al Pacino, Jeffrey Tambor, Christy Lahiti, and Thomas G. Waits. Now, Thomas G. Waits is going to be in attendance to do a Q&A with me afterwards. You may know him from the film The Warriors or The Thing as well. He's just finished filming Homeland as well. So, yes, if you're around, please do come down. Tickets are on sale now.
That should be fun. And for myself, you can find me on the social medias, Englishman SDCC, and of course, keep it up to date with what we get up to at anenglishmaninsandiego.com. A quick update when it comes to the MCon panels next week. We did live stream from Nottingham. However, we have been informed by all of the people involved in panels at Worcestershire. I don't know. Yeah, I've been not allowed to live stream a damn thing. So unfortunately, if you are wanting to see me talk to the Red Dwarf guys, to any of the guests, unfortunately, you're going to have to come to MCon, and that's next Sunday. Tickets are currently available at mcon.co.uk. So there we go. Right, I think that's pretty much us. It's been a packed show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your extended weekend. It's Easter Sunday, so we'd like to wish you all the very best. Spend it with some friends and some family, and enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend. From us to you, yes, it's going to be a busy show next week with 2 live reports from across the pond. From everyone at Talkin Comic-Con, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.